Hello and welcome back to the Will I Vike It podcast. Today, my guest is Sam Spiers. Welcome, Sam.
Hello,
Uh,
Craig. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. And you?
Good, good. Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. Sun's shining today, so I feel better. I feel better
Yeah.
than the weeks of rain we've had. So
Oh, it's
yeah,
been dire, hasn't it?
fills you with joy having a bit of sunshine. And then it rained obviously this afternoon, so back
Yeah.
to the norm. But it's okay. We had a bit of sun. That's the main thing.
Yeah. This is actually the first time we've really spoken, I think, other than on Instagram, which is where you're better known as, I guess you could introduce yourself.
So my name's Sam Spiers. I'm a metal detectorist, and I've got a page on Instagram called the Sussex Searcher, and it was on there first of all. I got it going through a friend of mine. Actually, I started metal detecting back in 2020, and
Yeah.
I just enjoyed looking at the finds. So I find a few small bits, and then a friend of mine who I work with said, "Oh," and he's got a strange. He's on Instagram a lot. He's got
Hmm.
a page dedicated to his T4 transporter camper van. And he
Yeah.
quite enjoyed that, putting things. He said, "Oh, he said you should go on Instagram. You should go on Instagram." I said, "Okay." I said, "I'll try it. Yeah, I'll put some bits on there, whatever." I started up a page, and he said, he said, "Yeah, you can get on it, but it's hard. Like you'll struggle to get the followers and build up a rapport with your followers and whatever else." I said, "Okay, well, I reckon I could beat you." And at the time, he had 500 followers, and I
Yeah.
looked at, it, I thought, nah, I'll never get anywhere near that. And he said, "Okay, well, in a year, if you beat 500, he said, I'll sell the van." This is honest. On it, he said, "I'll sell the van." Because he said,
Wow.
you won't get more than that." I said, "Okay, well, I'll see what happens anyway." And that was it. He never did sell the van anyway. By the way, he loves that thing, so he didn't do that. But
Yeah.
yeah, I set up the page. Take it off from there. Really, yeah. People obviously enjoy looking at what I find, and I do reels now and bits and bobs. I don't do YouTube. That's just sort of personal preference. It's not my thing really, but I really enjoy Instagram, the way it works with the pictures and now the reels. And yeah, so I've got
Hmm.
a page on that, the Sussex Searcher. Give it a visit. Yeah, it's going really well.
Yeah. So I think my knowledge is probably similar to a lot of people's about detectorists, is that pretty much everything I know comes from the BBC series, The Detectorists.
Yeah,
So I don't know. Have you seen it? I'm assuming you will have watched it.
definitely seen it. It's a strange one
Yeah,
because um, I detected years ago with dad. So that's how I sort of originally got into it. When
yeah,
I suppose I was only 10, 11, 12-year-old boy. So I had a sort of a love for history back then. And that's sort of
yeah,
what originally got my spark of history and metal detecting going. And then quit completely. Dad sort of stopped as well and didn't start again until 2020. Didn't watch when I started seeing the detectorists coming up on advertising that I'd look and think, nah, not for me. Like it's a comedy. I know what they're going to be going on at. They're going to be looking at, basically taking the piss out of
yeah,
metal detectorists.
yeah.
So I didn't watch it for ages, and it wasn't until I then got back into metal detecting in beginning of 2020, with COVID and around lockdown, whatever else. I thought we had more time on our hands, didn't we, around lockdown and whatever else.
A
I
little
thought,
bit.
I'm gonna watch that. And my wife said, "Really?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "I'll," because she knew I just bought a detector and I started having a go again. And do you know what? I thought it was brilliant. I really did. I watched it. And I thought
Yeah.
it's just enough Mickey taking and it to sort of let it go over your head and sort of But I thought it's great. I mean, the whole story is brilliant. So yeah, I love it. And
Yeah, yeah,
I think it's actually brought a lot of people into metal detecting from what I've heard and people spoke to. So I think it's only really a good thing for the hobby, for the sport, whatever you want to call it.
yeah.
So yeah, I'd be fully behind it. I think it's a great series.
So is it? I'm gathering from what you're saying, it's probably fairly accurate with the way it depicts the hobby.
Yes, it is. The hardest bit for detectorists nowadays is gaining permission from
Yeah,
farmers. It's much easier to gain permissions from sort of much smaller plots of land, as in
yeah.
people's small holdings or horse equine yards, that kind of thing. But to gain bigger farm permissions,
Hmm.
then that is challenging nowadays. So I suppose when they go about it on there, they just walk up to his front door. He says, "Who are you?" You know, go that type of thing. "Oh, we're metal detectors. Any chance we ever go on your fields?" "Well, I can't see why not." That kind of thing. In reality, that doesn't really happen. It takes a bit. In some people it does, but generally it
Yeah.
doesn't. So that's the only bit which is probably not quite true to life. But yeah, I mean, with basically the whole two friends going detecting, pick each other up, going enjoying it, not finding a lot, and then finding a few better bits, and suddenly gold appears, and the horde. You know, I mean that happens. That is true to life. That's what it's about, really. Enjoying it, the peace and quiet, and the getting out in the outdoors is all part of what it's about. So
Mm.
finding the horde and finding the gold horde, uh, that's pretty rare.
Yeah.
There's not many. I think you could probably count that many on one hand, really, across the years of finding gold coin hoards.
Mm.
But it's dramatized, so you've got to accept that. And so no, it is. And I think also the Danebury Metal Detecting Club, it's that
Yeah.
I've been in those clubs. I'm not a member now. I just didn't get time to go in the end. But I was a member of Eastbourne Metal Detecting Club, the most local one to me, and it was very very similar. The guy who ran that was an ex copper, generally with a
Yeah.
tash. Honestly, you couldn't make it up, and it was very very similar meetings. You get the fines table. There's not really a lot there, and you sort of look over. Oh, that's okay, and
Yeah.
then but it was just like that, but I liked it. It was quite nice. It was that's sort of tongue in cheek, but it was brilliant. And that is
Yeah.
quite similar. So I
Yeah.
think most of it is similar to what you see on the Detectorist series.
Because it's also depicted in there that there's quite a conflict between archaeologists and detectorists. Is that actually a thing?
Um, yeah, I mean there is. I mean I've not experienced it much, if I'm honest with you. Probably just
Yeah.
because I've not met that many archaeologists. I have met archaeologists, and their opinions of Detectorists varies.
Yeah.
Some of them are quite open-minded and say, well, it happens. We know it happens, so we hope that people record their finds and their find spots and anything else apart from metal. If they find it, they mention it to archaeologists or finds liaison officer.
Yeah.
But yeah, there is a bit of sort of what you call bad blood between the two, because of the bad press we get, with
Mm.
what we call night hawkers, basically detectorists, rogue detectorists that go out mainly at night and poach land, without permissions,
Yeah.
stealing artifacts, and so. And the problem with the media is, they like them stories, unfortunately. So they're the
Yeah.
bits they pick up on, which is really sad because there's many many hundreds of really decent detectorists out there that want to do
Mm.
everything right, get the permissions properly. They record stuff. They, GPS their find spots. Would be the first to tell anybody, find
Yeah.
liaison officer or a local archaeology group, if there was something of sort of national or even local importance. So
Mm.
I hope it's something that could be mended over time. I'm sure it will.
Yeah.
I think that's what everyone's working for. But yeah, unfortunately, probably still there's a bit of a boundary between the two groups, really, which is sad. I hope it changes.
Yeah. Yeah. So I get a good sort of lead from that would be what actually happens to a piece once you find it. So what do you have to do?
Okay, so generally, again, if you're going to be a decent detectorist and do the right thing, um, is anything that you think really is of significance? I'm not talking about a Queen Victoria penny, because yeah, it's significant in the fact that someone's walked that piece of land and dropped that, but it doesn't really build a picture of the more ancient history of that area. Um, so if you find something more special,
Mm.
then every county should have a flow. We call it abbreviated, but it's finds liaison officer,
Yeah.
and they are your go-to. So they're your person that will speak to you, record it. So as a detectorist, you need to work out. I use what three words now. So wherever you are, if you find something, check the what three words. Just screenshot it on your phone with a picture of the artifact, coin, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And you can then email that to your finds liaison officer. They work for the local council basically. So that's how it works.
Yeah.
And then all the police as well, as part of as part of a sort of a drive to get people recording these things now.
Mm.
And so yeah, you do that, and then they'll note it down. They'll take a recording of it, and then that will get put in a database. Once they've recorded, you'll get your fine back. A lot of the time you send it off to them. I think you can do it via email now with pictures, but a lot of the time they want to see it themselves.
Yeah.
My most local one, she does a sort of like a drop-in clinic type thing that you can go
Yeah.
to once a month. I think it is at Lewis Castle, and
Yeah.
so I drop in there occasionally, and we'll give her a dozen bits to record. So yeah, that's what you should be doing. You know, as a detectorist, go to your finds liaison officer, get the bits recorded, and you're doing your duty there.
Yeah.
Try and keep a record yourself as well of where these bits are found, because they do bring importance and historical significance to areas. No matter what you think they are,
Mm.
they might be a really historic, important thing. And a lot of the time, a lot of the time we don't know what they are. You know, there's bits of metal, and you just it might have some old engraving on it, um, or it's a unique sort of shape or size or something, and you don't really know what it is. Get it over there. They'll take it there, and they'll get it recorded. So, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's really important now. Do the right thing, definitely.
That probably leads into, because I had another question, which I think is probably linked to that then, which is how you identify finds and research their history. But I guess that starts with the liaison.
It does. I mean, it depends how much. I mean, a lot of the time I'll research it straight away. I'll either know
Yeah.
what it is instantly
Yeah.
because I for some reason I do remember things well. I've got a bit of a photographic memory, so when I see something and then I know what it is, I'll sort of remember it. So I know the shape, the size, the patina, the color of the metal, the style. So you get to in the end you get to know what things are.
Yeah.
So I get quite a lot of people on Instagram sending photos over. Hi Sam, do you know what this is? And I'll, hopefully I can say yes, I do. It's this, or I'll say nope, I don't know what that is. Send it to your finds liaison officer.
Mm.
So yeah, if I don't know what it is, then that's what I'll do. But most of the time now, that's what detectives. I love the history. I love researching stuff. That's what it's about for me. I've got loads of
Yeah.
books up there that I can reference if I need to. But that's like a big part of the hobby for me is, finding it is one thing and enjoying the experience of finding it and then getting it back and drives my wife mad at night when she's sitting there wants to have a chat and I'm like, oh, like, I'm just looking at this thing, like trying to work it out. Oh,
Yeah.
you don't talk to me, do you, at night? So, it's all right. Let me just look at this quick and then But no, it's brilliant. That's what it's about. It's about
Yeah.
do as much research yourself before asking for help, I think, as well, is the key.
Yeah. So I think did you say before most of the time you get the piece back afterwards as well? So you're not like losing
Yeah,
everything you find.
no. So you'll get, unless it's under the Treasure Act. So that comes into things that are of precious metal
Mm.
that are over. Now, don't quote me on this. I should have done my research. I think it's over 300 years old. So,
Yeah.
like Victoria sovereigns and gold rings, more modern, aren't under the Treasure Act. But if it
Okay.
is, or if it's a hoard of coins, there's another one. So multiple coins in the same hole, or it can actually be scattered hoard. So a hoard of coins, say in a pot that's been broken open with a plough and is spread across the field. So that can also be included.
Mm.
There's multiple reasons that it could be treasure. But if it's treasure, then it's a totally different process. You by law, you have to get it sent to the finds liaison officer as soon as possible.
Yeah.
She will record it, and then it normally goes to the British Museum. At which point they'll, record it all down, make notes of it, and work out then whether they're going to acquire the artifact, the hoard, whatever it is. or whether they're going to send it back to you. And if they send it back, then normally, because leading on to something else with a landowner, it's normally a 50-50 agreement. So if you
Yeah.
find medieval gold noble coin, okay, so, and that's worth £2,000, 50-50, you keep a thousand, and let's say the landowner wants some money from it. So you feel,
Yeah.
okay, I've got to sell this coin, unfortunately, now, unless you can cough up £1,000 of your own money and keep it. But
Yeah.
generally, then the coin would be sold, £1,000 to the farmer, £1,000 to you as the finder. That's generally how it goes. With treasure, then it might be a similar process. So if the museum or another museum doesn't want to acquire it, then you would have to just probably sell the hoard or artifact, whatever, and split the difference. Unfortunately, it does get a bit messy when it comes to money, like lots of things in life.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you start getting museums wanting to buy it, but not giving you really the realistic figure of what it's worth, and so that
Mm.
that really isn't my department, if I'm honest with you. But that's basically what happens when a treasure item is found and goes through the legal process, because it is completely illegal to keep hold of that and not record it and not get it sent away. Um,
Yeah.
so that's a really important thing to mention to people. But
Mm.
so yeah, that's generally when things like that will go down a different route.
Yeah. So do you see what you do as kind of, I don't know the best way of putting it, an important part of recreating history? Like the
Yeah, I
pieces
think
of the
so.
puzzle, if you like.
I definitely, yeah. And I think it's specific to the area you find these things.
Yeah.
You can really build up a picture of it. Such small things you can work out why people were there, what they were doing, how they were dressed.
Yeah.
Um, you know, yeah, hugely. It's a um, for example, like if you found a high quality, high status fibula, Roman fibula.
Mm.
I was at a Norfolk dig on the weekend just gone, and someone found like a really important like military Roman fibula brooch, and that straight away shows that there's probably been an army there. That was
Yeah.
someone high up in the Roman military. So just by finding that one artifact, suddenly literally proves that was there. Someone was there like that. So
Mm.
it builds a huge picture. It's a bit more difficult with sort of the Dark Age stuff, the Saxon, the Viking stuff.
Yeah.
That was sort of fairly evenly spread across the country. Doesn't really mean stuff. They wandered a lot, they moved around a lot. So that's more difficult to sort of prove settlements or habitation, really.
Mm.
Unless there's local areas which they know are Saxon villages, and then you can work it out.
Yeah.
But yeah, and the Iron Age stuff similar. Um, yeah, so you can build up a picture to a degree, but that's where the archaeologists do come in. Then they're
Mm.
the ones that we're sort of getting the bling as such and showing that off and seeing like this is what's here. Right now, you need to build a bigger picture if you need, if you want to,
Yeah.
and that's where
Yeah.
I can't knock the archaeologists. That's what they do, and then they bring it all together. But definitely, yeah, a lot of archaeological digs, successful digs, have been brought on by grave goods being found by detectorists and them
Mm.
saying, right, okay, I've got a grave here. I'm going to stop digging and let the
Yeah.
archaeologists take on from this. I hope it works hand in hand with them, really. Um,
Mm.
and that's why we need to be decent and do the right thing when we're detecting. So
Mm.
definitely,
Yeah. You've obviously got a love for history as well.
yeah,
So where
yeah.
where did that begin?
So that would probably have begun with Dad, metal detecting with Dad years ago.
Yeah.
Um, my family have both been farming families, so we've come from, well, not my parents, but their parents, my nans and granddads are all both farmers.
Yeah.
So we was always on farms when we were younger. Um, picking up bits of pottery and stuff like that, you know. And so just thinking about the past was the key for me.
Yeah.
You know, nothing more than that really. Oh, this is cool. And then that's a bit of Roman pottery. Oh, imagine that! Like looking at that and thinking, wow, that's old. You know, when you're a child, it doesn't really mean so much. You know, you don't think so deep about it.
Yeah.
But then the methods of detecting and the finding things with him when I was younger. Um, and then at school, weirdly at school, I didn't really find history that interesting. Um, God knows why. You know, if only I could go back to school now and go through history, I'd love it. It'd be
I was
amazing.
exactly the same.
Yeah, it's strange, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like I really
Yeah.
now I can't get it's like an obsession. Um, Back then, nope, didn't really do it for me. I don't know why. I you know, different things take over in your youth, don't they? So
Yeah.
you know, and I suppose you want to be cool with your friends, and you don't want to be, you know, that history geek or whatever, and sit around reading books about history. So you know, who knows? But it wasn't my thing then. It really is now. And yeah, and I push it on to my children, so I hope they get little bits of knowledge from me. And I mean, they raid this finds cabinet daily, trying to get. I'm like that. Get away, get away. I go with them, and I'm very gentle. My 3-year-old, she sort of just grabs stuff that I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
you know, I'm like, it's okay, let's just put that back, shall we? But they're interested, so you know, it's brilliant, you know. And there's lots more.
Yeah.
I think with the horrible histories series now they've got for the kids and whatever, that's excellent. They didn't really have that when I was growing up, so
Mm.
um, but yeah, I suppose point of what got me into history probably was method detecting with dad when I was a little boy. Yeah, and that was, and then maybe I sort of went off that bit and got back into it a bit later in life.
Yeah.
And I read a lot of books, you know, the Burton Cornwell books and that sort of thing when I was
Yeah.
in my 20s. So that would have helped a lot. But yeah, like now it's sort of become quite obsessive, really, which it does, I suppose, to say with you. You know, it's all you really think about in the end. It's quite
Yeah.
strange, but yeah, it's gone full
Yeah.
circle.
So you mentioned that we might raid your cabinet and do a little bit of a show and tell
Yeah, of
during the chat. But
course.
before we do that, is what would be your dream find? Is it the big hoard? Is that too
I mean
obvious?
that's everybody's. You know, I like
Yeah.
to think there's sort of like a realistic find that I would
Mm.
genuinely love to find. But okay, so realistic. You know, I've not found a Roman fibula. I've
Yeah.
found Saxon brooches. You know, but I haven't found, and they're very rare Saxon brooches. But a Roman fibula is quite a common thing. I haven't found one yet. Everywhere I go, people find them around me. I cannot find one. So if I was doing my realistic bucket lister, I just want a
Yeah.
blimmin' Roman brooch. That's all I want, you know. And they're
Nice.
quite common. So I don't know why I
Yeah.
haven't found one. I just haven't,
That's
you know.
quite frustrating then.
Um, oh, it's so
Yeah.
frustrating. A friend of mine found one next to me the other day in Norfolk. And then I looked and someone had found three, and I thought, what is? I can't buy one. You know what? So like right now,
Yeah.
if you was going to say that I just want a Roman fibula brooch in my cabinet, it'd just be so nice to finish my little Roman bit off, and
Does
so
it make
that'd
a
be that. I mean,
difference that it's something that you've found? Because you said obviously you could buy
oh,
something from somewhere, but
oh no, like I mean, like I couldn't buy one as in like just figure of speech. Like I can't find one. It's that sort of hard for me to
yeah.
find for some reason. Yeah, no, some people
Yeah.
buy things. I don't buy anything. You
Yeah.
know, it doesn't that doesn't
Yeah.
give me a thrill at all. It's all about finding it. Yeah, so my
Yeah.
time will come at some point. I'll find one, but I haven't yet. You know, but yeah, I mean, when it comes to sort of less realistic finds, yeah, a coin hoard would be amazing. You know,
Mm.
there's quite a few guys that find mainly Roman coin hoards. They're the sort of the most common, or
Yeah.
sort of Civil War hoards. Um, and then so that'd be amazing to find that pot and you know just a huge mass of copper or silver or whatever coins. That'd be brilliant. I'd love to find anything gold, Iron Age, Bronze
Mm.
Age gold is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, or just a gold coin. I've not found a gold coin. You know, I'm that's another thing that you know has eluded me. You know, I
Yeah.
haven't found one yet. So really, you've got to. It's with detecting. Also, you've got just to walk over it. That's all it is. Anybody can do
Mm.
it. It's just we don't know what's in the ground. You're walking along with your detector, swing your detector. If it's there in front of you, you're probably likely going to find it. If it's not, you're not going to find it.
Yeah.
So people go many, many, many years, much longer than I do, without finding any gold, or anything
Mm.
like that. I've been very lucky. I found some really nice things which most detectors might never find. I feel quite lucky already to have found these things.
Mm.
So I try not to give myself too much of a bucket list. I'm already quite
Yeah.
fortunate to have found what I have. But yeah, anything like that, Saxon coins are always lovely to find. They're the most beautiful things. These are the perfect little
Mm.
pictures of almost like Picasso pictures of kings from
Yeah.
thousand years ago, whatever plus. So it's yeah, they're amazing things to find. Um, oh, I could talk all night about things I want to find, but I won't. There's too
Yeah.
many. But
Yeah.
yeah, if you could say anything, that Roman fibular brooch would be what I want right now. That would be the thing, realistically.
It's quite weird, isn't it? Because then you start to think how much still hasn't been found, how much, like you said, we're just walking over all the time. Like where we live it's had a settlement here for a long, long time. And
Yeah,
yeah, you just
I
think
I
how much is in the area that we don't know about.
well, I don't know. I don't know if this is true, but I heard someone at the most recent Norfolk dig I went on, an event they did. Someone said there's been approximately 3% of metal finds in the ground been found already. 3%.
Yeah.
So there's a lot more in the ground. A lot
Yeah.
more. I mean, it's yeah. I mean that. I wouldn't be surprised if it was less than 3%. Because so many acres of land out there,
Mm.
about millions of acres of land that untouched. No one's ever. Most people don't give permission. Most farmers won't give permission, so their stuff's never going to be found on their land.
Mm.
Um, so there's so much out there. Things that would change history probably if it was found.
Yeah.
British history or whatever. I'm absolutely sure of it. You know,
Mm.
it's yeah. There's a lot there. There's a lot still to be found. We I think we've you know just touched it from what I've heard about from
Yeah.
other detectorists really. So yeah, there's lots still out
Mm.
there. Take it up as a hobby. We haven't found it all, I can assure you.
So to bring it back to your cabinet, if you're still up for doing a little show and tell. So anyone that's
Yeah, of
listening
course.
and wants to see, they should probably head over to the YouTube channel and watch the video of this. Um, so again, should we start with the most interesting thing you found?
Okay, the most interesting thing. Um,
In your opinion, obviously. I mean,
okay,
everyone's got a different.
I'll go for the most random thing I found.
Okay.
Um, okay, and it's a bit of gold. It is a bit of gold, and don't laugh. It was my first gold find. Okay, and it is a gold tooth. So there's a gold tooth. Okay,
Yeah.
my wife won't let this in
Wow.
the house. She thinks it's a old thing, but it's got a bit of tooth on the back of it as well. It's like a
Oh,
crown or whatever. It's a bit strange.
yeah.
So that sits in my cabinet, but it's not something I'm that proud of.
Yeah.
So that's like the strangest thing probably I found. But it was my first gold thing, so it has a
It's
certain place in my
significant.
heart for that. Yeah, significance.
Yeah.
Um, if I really want to sort of show off with finds and um, precious to me, this is a Saxon cloison brooch,
Oh,
enamelled.
nice. Yeah.
It's got sort of like little cells in it, which it's a copper alloy base to it, gilded,
Yeah.
um, and it's a pretty special find that it's a
Yeah.
which actually strange enough when I found that um, I thought it was a bit of costume jewelry, a bit of like Victorian costume jewelry,
Yeah.
and I threw it in my bag. I remember it was a horrific muddy day. Um, my bag. And at lunchtime, we was having a bite to eat, and I pulled it out of the bag and was having a little look, and then sort of rubbed it, and it looked much more crude.
Mm.
I thought, I've seen that somewhere. I've seen one of these, and then Dad said, I think that's Saxon. I said, okay. So, and then did the usual and went on to Facebook, took a photo, and there's lots of groups there, very good, people that are much better at IDing, finds them in straight away, Saxon, 10th century, but I was like,
Mm.
whoa, okay. There's all like this very good condition. You don't find them like this is on pasture.
Yeah.
Most of the guys are detecting on arable, cultivated land where the plows and the cultivators smashing up the ground. So they don't come out of the ground that well. But yeah, so that one's really special to me. This was quite a cool little thing I found not too long ago, which you can probably agree, it looks a bit like Batman, like the Dark Knight.
Yeah.
It's like you see that.
Yeah.
It's a 13th century medieval clasp, so like off of a belt.
Okay.
The top,
Yeah.
this top section's gone, but actually it's probably why it fell off of the belt. But this section would have been here.
Yeah.
But it's quite a cool looking thing. It's called the animal
Yeah.
mask type, so it's got like an animal type face to it. Um, yeah, so that's those. Up the top here, I don't know if I can just move the camera and show you. There's all sorts of coin finds up here. So hammered coins and all sorts of bits like that. Loads of stuff there. I suppose you're probably going to want to see a bit of Viking. Get that out now. That's a Viking. And actually, you can always tell Viking because you get this strange colouring patina. It's almost, I don't know if you can see it very well with the light there. It's almost like a reddy. No, you probably can't see it real well. You might see it better there. Red and sort of get bits of flecks of green in it. But this is
Yeah.
a horse strap distributor. So that would have sat on the cheek of the
Oh, yeah.
horse,
Yeah. I'm with you.
and it distributed the straps between the two loops.
Yeah.
This actually came out in two pieces, but I've crudely super glued it together, but it's worked, so I'll take that. But yeah, so that's 10th, 11th century. I've got take too long doing this. We go all night showing you finds. Where is my that one there? That's a Viking Anglo-Scandinavian. Um,
Strap end, is it?
no,
No?
it's a sword scabbard end, like the end of the
Oh,
where
yeah.
the sword scabbard is.
Yeah.
Completely forgot what they call them now. Someone will tell me straight away. But yeah, so that's quite a cool thing. So you can imagine the sword at the end came down on the leather scabbard, whatever it would be, and
Yeah.
that's the terminal to it there.
Yeah.
It's quite a cool thing. It's almost got like an open mouth, like I suppose like a snake or a bird end to it. This typical sort of open work they had there. So again,
Mm.
yeah, another nice find. There's loads of bits, Craig. I'm honest with you, I could show you all night, but yeah, it's becomes quite obsessive, really, and
Yeah.
then for me, showing them off and having them in a cabinet is important. Lots of people don't do that, but I've got the space in my
Yeah.
man cave, so I tend to do that in here, and it works quite well. So yeah, it's nice to display what you find, and it sort of it refreshes your memory as well of what you found as well when you look at it. So it works quite
Yeah.
well.
Considering how sort of recently you retook up the hobby, I don't know, it feels surprising how much you've got in your cabinet.
Yeah, it's first of all when I started, I was going a lot with metal detecting. It really depends, firstly how much you go. If you're detecting 3 times a week, you're going to generally be finding more than some that goes once a fortnight.
Yeah.
Um, Secondly, it is what land you have, what permissions you have, what history you have on those permissions. I was very lucky to have got a permission fairly early on, where I used to go to Plumpton College, and
Mm.
which is an agricultural college near to where I live, and I got to know all the farmers there, all the local farmers, and all the sons of the local farmers, I should say.
Yeah.
Um, so when 10, 15 years on from that, I got into metal detecting. I just found them all on Facebook and messaged them all over. It was easy, really. I said, "Oh, can I come metal detecting you?" there's quite a few. Oh, Dad doesn't like it. Blah blah blah. And then had one that said, yeah, go for it. Yeah, you're more than welcome. And
Yeah.
yeah, and when I found this place, I thought, okay, that's cool. I won't give any sort of locations, obviously, or anything else, but
Yeah,
it
that's fair
had
enough.
on there, like I always researched it on Google, whatever. It kept coming up in little things saying like shrunken medieval settlements. And I was thinking, oh well, yeah, I'll take that any day, and some
Mm.
Roman habitation, and also like remains of maybe a Saxon church as well, or
Yeah.
and so yeah, that, not really on the site, that not on the farm, but on the farm I was detecting, but outside of that. I thought, okay, so there's a bit of history there, and yeah, so basically, I was very lucky, and I suppose a majority of what I found is from that site. So lots of different era coins, artifacts, um, and that's probably why I've got a lot of finds in the cabinet now. Really, it's just what the amount of time I was going and the history on the site meant that I was pretty lucky, really, with what I've got.
Yeah.
I've Yeah, so now when I go on other commissions and find a couple of Victoria pennies and a lead token, that's a lot for some people. That's a good day, but for me, I'm like, it's not quite the
Yeah.
same as finding a bit of Saxon or some Roman stuff, and I was spoiled, really, if I'm honest
Mm.
with you. So it's nice to get back to reality occasionally and not find a lot. But yeah, I've been very
Yeah.
lucky, and I've put in the hours and I've dug many. If you go onto my Instagram, um, I try and keep it real. I want to give a bit of reality to the
Mm.
hobby for people that are starting up, and for every one of these things I've put in here, I dig 50 holes. So it really. I mean, I've taken a scrapyard. I couldn't carry. It took two of us almost to carry the lead bucket that I found, the scrap lead.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's not all gold and silver and medieval and Saxon and Rome. There's so much rubbish you've got to dig, unfortunately.
Mm.
Um, I see it as a good thing. I'm taking it out the ground, out the farmers' fields. They don't want rubbish in there like that. But yeah, it's not always easy. Like I
Yeah.
say, reality metal detector is you've got to dig a lot of rubbish for every half decent find you get. So yeah, that's the cream of the crop. Like I like to say, it really is.
Mm.
There's a lot which doesn't go in there. I can assure you. But yeah, I've been lucky, really.
It's kind of funny because with our reenactment, we often joke that is our hobby reenactment or is it loading and unloading cars?
Yeah,
And it's kind of the same with you said about digging holes. So is your hobby metal detecting or
yeah,
is it digging holes?
yeah. You're right, really.
Yeah.
It's a bit of both, isn't it? If I'm honest with you, it's
Yeah.
without one, you don't have the other, do you? So it's
Mm.
quite difficult to think that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, in anyone that would watch us from afar would think these blokes are just literally walking around from digging holes and pulling bits of metal. You think, yeah, when you say like that, it's quite a strange thing to do, actually. My wife thinks I'm mad a lot of the time. She quite likes seeing some of the things I find, but yeah, she
Yeah.
couldn't care less. If I'm honest with you, like she thinks she doesn't understand how walking around in a wet, muddy field, coming back plastered in filth, is a hobby and how it's enjoyable. But everyone's to their own, isn't it? We all find enjoyment in different things. So
Yeah.
I tend to find mine in that. If honestly,
Yeah.
for me, it's a huge like message. If anyone goes, you don't understand if you don't go, you don't really understand the like the peace it brings you when you're metal detecting. When you've got your headphones on and your sort of concentration is, I get I've said about it on my Instagram before. You get into this almost like this flow state where you might have, you might be thinking about lots of things outside and, you had a crap week and, had some nightmare, whatever going on in your lives. But you get into that, you put them headphones on, you concentrate on those tones and the bleeps on the metal detector, and it just transports you, if that makes any sort of sense.
Mm.
And it's really good for mental health. So like I know everyone's talking about mental health now and what you can do to improve it. This
Yeah.
definitely improves it. I can guarantee it. There's a guy actually who's written a book called The Zen of Metal Detecting, and he found it hugely rewarding in gaining better quality mental health again. So that's a really important thing to put out there. It's really good for people. It's good for your physical health. Sometimes on the weekend I spent 8 hours solid metal detecting, walking. Through sometimes quite deep mud in ploughed
Mm,
fields. So that's physically very good for you as well.
yeah.
So for me, it's brilliant. It ticks all the boxes.
Mm,
And if you find something, it's a bonus. So,
yeah. Mm,
but yeah, outside of with the layman looking at it, would think it's quite a strange thing to do.
yeah.
But I would say try it before you knock it at least.
I can see the appeal of it. Definitely.
Yeah, I,
Yeah.
honestly, it's one of those weird things that everyone likes finding stuff, don't they? They love to unearth something. It's just natural that is to want to.
Yeah.
That's why there's been so many films, Indiana Jones or whatever. They're all basically people searching for things, historical things,
Yeah.
and looking at it. And most of the time, it's gold and whatever objects. But you know, it's just anything for me historically is amazing to find. So yeah, that's in everybody. I think to dig that thing up and find it. Go into basics on it. But yeah, I think it's got huge appeal. But just try it again before you knock it. It's one of those things you've just got to give it a go. Really.
The image popped into my head then of them doing the dance when they find the gold.
Yeah.
Do you do you do
Oh,
do you dance?
I did for I found a for this. I didn't for the gold tooth. I thought that'd be pretty embarrassing dancing for someone's denture. But
Hmm.
for this is a little gold ring. Trying to get in
Yeah.
focus. Probably see it's got two
It's
hearts on it.
yeah.
I don't know exactly what ring it is. I don't think it's hugely old. But
Looks fairly modern, doesn't it?
yeah, I think it's fairly much, but
Yeah.
it's gold. So
Yeah.
I didn't do the dance straight away, and then I was into doing it for camera. So it's somewhere on someone's camera, some hideous dance I had to do for it. But yeah, if I found like a very old piece of gold, yeah, I'd be over the moon. So I probably would do something strange, like some dodgy
Yeah.
dance, robotic dance or something weird. But yeah, so you're meant to. That's kind of like the unwritten rule for detectives. You do your
Yeah.
gold dance. Yeah. So when Andy didn't do the gold dance on Detectorists, they were quite upset by it, I think. But it was, yeah, it was. So yeah, the gold dance is something you should do really if you find something worthwhile. Gold.
Yeah. I think we've covered most of my questions, unless there's anything you think that we should add, or that I'm not thinking of.
No, no, I think with
Um,
metal detecting, we've covered it all there really. Um,
yeah.
it's do you when you wear your Viking, is it mainly Viking you wear with your clothing?
Uh, Generally, it's Saxon more than Viking.
Saxon, okay, okay. So
Yeah.
do you wear metal work on that? Do you look at like historically accurate stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah, I
so you've
do. I'm
got
trying to think if I've got anything.
like brooches or whatever else, and clasps
Uh,
and buckles.
Trying to think if I've got anything nearby. Yeah, I've got a couple of different brooches. I don't know if I've got them with me.
Yeah, so that's quite cool for me to look at that because obviously for archaeological digs, probably a lot of grave goods, but some of those, that people use in reenactment that might have come from metal detecting. So, that's quite a big thing. Um,
Oh, here you go. I've got a couple here, I think. Uh, yes.
I like the big cruciform brooches you find. They're quite like the earlier Saxon brooches are really nice.
Can't remember where I got this one from. This is a fairly standard.
Oh,
Uh,
nice. Yeah, like a penannular
but I don't know if you can see it's got
brooch.
the ring and dot. I don't know if that's showing up very much for
Yeah,
you
well,
there
well,
around
that
the.
is similar. I've got this one here, which is a fairly early Saxon, sixth, seventh, or maybe fifth, sixth, seventh century, and that's actually got the ring dot pattern on. You see it
Yeah, yeah, I can see that.
on there. So you've got, and it's a disc brooch. So you've got the
Yeah,
clasps on the back, copper alloy. It's probably tinned as well, so you get this almost like this silvering effect on it. But you've got this is quite
yeah,
a fairly common pattern in this ring dot with these sort of trifoils around the outside.
yeah.
Um, so yes, so again, it's nice to reference original material with with stuff that you've got. So that's really cool to see.
This other one, so this is based on it's an early medieval animal-headed penannular brooch from Karmøy in Rogaland, Norway.
Oh wow.
It's based on a fragment of an identical brooch which was found at Sondre in Kapang, Larvik.
Okay. Right. Yeah.
Um, the originals are all in copper alloy. It's ninth to
Yeah.
11th century. And this
Oh,
is, I
lovely.
mean, I've nearly taken my wife's eye out with this one a few times because it's a bit.
With the pin. Oh wow. So it's a super long pin on
Uh,
that as well. Oh
yeah.
yes.
And
Oh, that's
that's
amazing.
made
Look
by a
at
guy called Adam Parsons,
that. Okay.
Blue Axe Reproductions.
Right. Right. Yeah.
I don't
That's
think he
amazing.
makes too much at the moment. But I met him at the market in Jorvik last year for the first time. I kind of know him through, we got mutual friends and we met for the
Yeah.
first time. And as I'm talking and talking, I kept looking at the table and talking
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
looking
Of
at the
course.
table. And like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to take that.
Pretending to listen to what you're saying, but more it's just what's sitting on the table there.
Yeah. But as I said,
Oh,
that
that's
so that's
amazing.
obviously more Viking.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can get away with using it for Saxon as well.
Of course. Well, they integrated, didn't they, to some degree? So that's why we say a lot of the time it's Anglo-Scandinavian.
Yeah.
The term we do use the word Viking, but most of the time you'll see it written as Anglo-Scandinavian because mainly integrated Vikings,
Yeah.
which sort of you get a bit of a mix between the two cultures then.
Yeah.
But there's some great stuff there. I mean, that's why people love finding the zoomorphic animal figure type um, detailing on some of the Viking and Saxon metalwork is beautiful.
Mm.
The strap ends where you get the ends of the belts. Um, they're incredible. Like these
Mm.
metalsmiths were serious artisans, and that it made they'd struggle
Yeah.
to make them now.
Yeah.
Watching them do it back then, it must have been incredible to see.
Don't know if I've
So
got.
yeah, I mean that's
No, I don't think I've got my belt here. I've got a lovely
no.
strap end based on one from Bora in Norway,
Oh
which is,
wow.
yeah, like you say,
Has it got
animal
like
head.
an animal head? Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
They're sort of one of the most common Viking Saxon strap ends you find. And they
Mm.
almost always go to like a wolf head at the end or something similar. But they look great, amazing. I'd wear one, now they're
Yeah.
excellent looking things. But the straps must have been quite thin. The belts. I mean, you know more about this than I do. Are the belts
Mm.
quite thin? Because a lot of I've got to say, I've got a whole thing of strap ends here, a whole display of strap ends, which um, they're
Yes.
all so thin.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's.
They are.
But yeah, no, I
Mm.
love watching what you guys do and seeing how you're bringing the artifacts that we're finding, um, replicating them, and using them in in what you do. So yeah, I enjoy seeing that. I saw you actually weirdly. I walked past you and
Did
um,
you?
yeah, at the Battle Abbey at the Battle of
Oh, okay.
Hastings,
Yeah.
and I recognised you, but I sort of had to take two. I thought I'm not going to say is that Craig from Saxon Forager or Viking Forager. And I thought no, I don't know
Yeah.
if that is you, but I saw you looking at some pots, some clay pots, and
That was
you was on one of
when.
the. Is a you were speaking to a lady buying looking at the pot. That's what it would
Yeah.
be.
I bought one of
Yeah,
these, which has got
I
a lovely
almost got
little.
one. Did you?
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, Anot's pots. I buy most of my pottery from her. She just made
Oh,
me
she's got.
these cups as well.
Oh wow.
So,
Yeah.
because
Does
I
she make
run
them
cookery
herself?
courses. Yeah,
Wow,
yeah, she
she does
does.
all that
So,
herself.
when I was talking to her that day, I was commissioning these,
Yeah.
and because I
Ah,
run cookery courses, she's made
yeah,
me
of
10.
course.
So I've got
Well, it goes.
10. To, Yeah.
Wow, well, it goes hand in hand with what you do, doesn't it? With what she makes, so that's amazing. And she's done the different era stuff. But she had like the
Yeah.
almost like the Neolithic stuff and the Iron Age and like right going up through it.
And I think she does
It's
reenactment too,
brilliant.
because I think she does Bronze Age, I think.
Oh, okay. Oh, that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Um, but the other interesting thing what you're saying about using stuff is like, I mean, we're moving on to pots now, which is not quite your
No.
area. But that's another one that she's made. And the
Oh,
blackening is
wow.
from where I've heated water in the fire.
Ah, okay. That's
And from
amazing.
her perspective, it's interesting to see them actually being used
Of
like
course
they're
it
meant
is.
to be.
Of course. Oh, well, that blackening is
Yeah.
what all the pots would have looked like, isn't it, when they were cooking on them? So that's amazing.
I mean, they're not
Oh, that's
cheap
great.
things to put into the fire, so sometimes it's a bit terrifying. But you,
Oh,
once you've done it a few times,
no,
yeah,
fair play. No, you've got to use it the right way, haven't you? And that's how they would have
yeah,
been used. So it's brilliant to see that. But no,
yeah,
it's great, Craig.
yeah. The only other thing I was going to get you to mention, because I've got the questions I ask everybody, which we've got to do,
Yeah,
but it might be worth you were talking about mindfulness and people getting into detectorists,
yeah,
detector,
yeah,
being a detectorist.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
so I get it. Would it be worth mentioning the best way for someone to get involved if they want to have a go? Should they sign up to a local club or something like that? Is there a website for that kind of thing? I don't know.
Yeah, not really a website or anything like that. Okay, how would you the best way if you was going to start off? Um, yeah, I would probably go onto Facebook. If I'm honest with you, as much as you know, I'm not a huge fan of Facebook. I would probably use Facebook
Yeah.
as my go-to. Find a local group. Yeah, that would be so. There's
Mm.
lots of local organized group digs and events. Basically, find one of
Yeah.
those, join up to that, and then just put the questions out there. Say, hi guys, I'm new to metal detecting. Um, any advice on a new metal detector or how I can get started? A lot of people do struggle with getting permissions, so that's the big one.
Yeah.
So go to group digs because you're going to get on normally quite good land without needing to find your own permissions. So that would be the way to go, and to meet people within the hobby as well.
Yeah.
Um, and then yeah, it's if you can get your own permissions and maybe try and do that as well. And once you do that, then you can go when you want. The only problem with the group events is that firstly they'll cost you money, so you have to pay for that.
Mm.
And they're only once a week, which is normally enough for people, but
Yeah.
or maybe once or twice a month, maybe. So do that, yeah. Uh, Go onto Instagram, is another option. Find some metal detectorist, search up myself, the Sussex Searcher. Ask me questions if you want to. I try and answer everybody if I can, and give some advice. So yeah, do that, start there, and there's a lot, and then it's learning like anything. It's getting into the hobby and picking things up as you go along. So yeah,
Yeah. Cool. Right. Should we do the questions that I ask everybody?
let's do it.
And then I can let you get on with your Saturday evening.
That's all right.
I'm
The,
sure you
the,
got
the
better
family
things to do.
listen, the family are out there watching Gladiators, so I'm not that bothered.
Oh, fair enough.
I'd much rather be
my
here, believe me.
my daughter, when I said I was doing another push, not another one.
Oh no. But she's part of this with you, right? Does she reenact
Yeah,
with
she
you?
does. Yeah, she
Oh,
does.
that's
Yeah.
brilliant. Yeah, I'd like to do
She
it myself
almost,
at some point.
yeah.
I really would. Yeah,
Yeah.
I genuinely would. Yeah, I'd love to do that. I'll
She
have to. I'll have to hit you up and come out at some point.
yeah, that'd be good. Yeah. The other day she had a non-school uniform day and she almost
Yeah.
went in her Vike kit.
Oh, she
Almost.
should. She should.
She was
That'd be
saying
so
she
cool.
would go to bed going, I'm gonna dress up and my friends are gonna be so impressed.
Oh,
And she
has she got?
changed her
Has she
mind.
got? Has she got history? Has she got one of her teachers that enjoys history? Because that's really good. My son's got a teacher that really enjoys history, which is lucky, I suppose.
They enjoy hearing her stories about the places we
Uh,
go and the things
yeah,
we
yeah.
do, but I don't know whether they're particularly interested in
No,
history.
no, no,
I mean,
no, no.
she's
She
still
at
in, primary. Yeah.
primary school, yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'm just quite lucky. And my boy, who's called Saxon, actually, he has got a teacher who loves history. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what he studied. That's what he studied at university. So he
Mm.
done a topic on Romans recently, and I gave him a handful of Roman coins. He took them in, and
Oh,
they thought it
nice.
was amazing. So yeah,
Yeah.
he's quite lucky. I've got those bits to give him, and he can and enjoy them. His
Yeah.
friends all love them. Well, he does show and tell, so that was quite cool. But anyway,
Yeah.
sorry. Back to the questions.
No, it's all good. It's all good. All right. So the first question is, if you had an unlimited budget, what would be your dream project?
Okay, so this one, project meaning what? As in involving what historical project you mean?
Some people go historical, or most people go historical. It doesn't have to be.
Okay, okay.
I give
Unlimited
you I
budget.
give you an unlimited budget. What are you going to do with it, essentially?
I'd have to go and travel and try and find some of these um, undiscovered um, Amazonian civilizations. That would be my thing.
Yeah.
Um, I end up going down a bit of a rabbit hole looking into this, so I'd want to go and see them all for myself. There's lots of them,
Yeah.
and it's a huge subject in itself. This ancient Amazonian tribes and actually how civilized they were.
Yeah.
So my thing would be get over there, try not to get killed by the locals, and to go for an Indiana Jones style trek through the Amazon
Mm.
and to try and find some of these. They think there's, they've done these lidar um, scans now of the rainforest floor, and
Mm.
it's pretty impressive what they found. There's almost uh, pyramid structures there and all sorts of things going on. So I'd love that. With no budget, that'd be amazing. I'd go and do that. Yeah, that
Yeah.
would be my thing. Yeah, I'm sorry about the UK. I'm going over there. I'm going to enjoy that for a bit. All right. So
Yeah.
that would be my thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be it.
Yeah. All right. So the next question is, do you think you could survive on a Viking Age diet?
Definitely, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, you'll tell me more about this than I. Got too much of an idea on what a Viking Age are, but I'd imagine it involved. You tell me if I'm wrong here.
Yeah.
Mainly meat and vegetables, I assume. You tell me this one because I'm not 100% sure
Less
what a Viking
so
Age diet is.
Probably less meat than a lot of people think of. And
Okay,
certainly
yeah.
certainly less fresh meat. A lot of the stuff you're eating is salted,
Okay,
preserved in some way.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But probably a bit more vegetarian than people expect. So yeah, your
Okay,
vegetables and your
yeah.
grains, your barley, that kind of thing.
Grains.
Yeah, breads,
Well,
that
why?
kind of
Well,
thing.
why not? Honestly, why couldn't we live on that? I suppose we not many of us would be overweight with that diet, would we? We'd be probably using up a lot of those calories daily. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I'm absolutely sure of it. It's probably what we need to go back to in some ways. It's what our bodies were made to ingest and live on. So yeah, I'd say absolutely so.
I
What
mean,
do
the
you
next
think?
question's, oh, no one's ever asked me that.
Yeah, what do you think
I,
genuinely?
I don't know. I mean, there's
It'd be
different ways
tough.
of looking at it. Yeah. Yeah, I think it would be tough because it would be more
Yeah,
seasonal as well. And there's going to be times
yeah,
when,
yeah,
you haven't got so much food. You're
yeah,
going to be tightening up your belt a little bit. So
yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's that question of, could you survive in a Viking Age diet? Well, I'd have to. There's that
Yeah, of
argument.
course, of course. It never. Yeah,
But
yeah. I mean, was there famine back there? Yeah, I'm sure of it.
oh,
If the crops
definitely.
failed,
Yeah.
or your animals died, it would be tough. Yeah. So yeah, strictly speaking, if the food was there, then yes, you could certainly live and survive on it and probably thrive on it. But how much of it, I suppose, that's there is the question, isn't it? How much is there? For your
I
family.
mean,
So
people had more worms living in their stomach and stuff like that. So obviously the food had
yeah, of
issues as
course.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Well. Yeah, I'm not sure I want to try it if I'm honest with you. It'd
yeah.
be it'd be challenging. But a lot of
Mm,
people are going back to these sort of ways of eating now, aren't they? More grain, like more whole grains, more meats. Even red meats and whatever else now and venison and more wild game. So yeah, I'm sure it's absolutely great for your body, but again, just in the right amount, I suppose. And
yeah.
and yeah, so it'd be tough, I suppose.
So connected with that, and again, I guess it depends how much you know about the diet, but is there anything you'd miss on a Viking Age diet?
It would it would have to be things like salt and chilies and all the strong flavors.
Yeah.
Um, in today's, in what I eat today, yeah, that would be the things that gave it the flavor as such, if that makes sense. The pepper and the seasoning, and not so
Mm.
much the whole foods, but the added ingredients really would be what would
Yeah.
that gives it that kind of, yeah, I want that that saltiness and whatever else, which I'd imagine, again, you might tell me differently, but I imagine they didn't have a lot of, what if any of it.
So
This.
generally, people think that salt was expensive, and I kind of
Okay.
spoke to different people. I'm not of the opinion that it was as expensive as people like to think. I had a guy
Okay.
on recently. He's a returning guest, Tom Timbrell, who's a blacksmith.
Oh, okay.
Um, and he kind of said the same thing, is like, we've been mining salt, back in the Bronze Age and stuff, we were mining salt, we were panning it on the
Yeah.
coast.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
there's a production industry for it, it exists. But my personal opinion is that it's not that it's expensive necessarily, but that it's important. You need it for things like preservation.
Yeah. With
Um,
the salted
and the
meats and
Saxons were
salted
using it
fish.
for magic as well. So you're using it in your rituals for the land to produce more crops. So I think it's,
Okay.
you're not putting it on your dinner as such because you need
Okay.
it for
That's
other stuff.
interesting.
But I mean,
That's
yeah,
interesting.
I'm sure people would say I'm talking shit, but
No, no, no.
I
Well,
don't
I
know.
get it with the
Yeah.
salted meats and the salted fish. You hear about and read about it everywhere. That's what they sort of did to preserve it. So there must have been a fair amount of it around.
And you're not going
Um,
to need to add salt to your dinner. If your
no,
meats are
of course not.
made preserved with salt, it's going to
Oh
taste
no,
salty.
yeah, yeah. It's really. I mean, I've tasted salted fish, like salted cod, and if you don't wash that salt out of it, God, it's horrendously salty.
Yeah.
So you do get that from it. So yeah, okay, maybe not the salt thing, but definitely like the Asian flavors I like, and like even down to like more the Indian type flavors that we've all come to know
Yeah.
nowadays and enjoy. That's what I would probably miss, like those stronger spice flavors, I suppose.
Yeah.
I like the heat in food, and that sort of thing. I wouldn't miss the fast food, if I'm honest with you.
No,
I do have fast food, like every family does occasionally, whatever else, but um,
absolutely.
it wouldn't be something I'd miss. It really wouldn't.
Mm.
It'd be more the added ingredients and citrus. I like citrus and stuff like that would be a big thing to give up. But yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I'd be amazing to see what the diets were genuinely like.
Mm.
Do they have research into this? Obviously, they do. You research it, obviously, and look into these
Yeah.
things.
It comes mainly down to, the archaeology, the kind of from finding pollens and grain and
Yeah,
seeds and that kind of thing.
yeah,
Um, but the actual meals and how they put them together, a lot of that is just almost a best guess. I mean, we don't have
yeah.
any
Of course, it is.
recipes, so we're putting things together, and we
I
know what
mean,
they had a lot of and what they didn't.
they weren't silly, were they? So they knew what tasted good with things. So they wouldn't put stuff together. They thought, oh, this is a bit bland, or this doesn't really taste very good. They would add things to it to make it. I'm sure they would. They're a culture of their own. They would have known what
Yeah.
tasted good, wouldn't they?
Like, we know
Um,
that they were boiling most of their food, but at the same time we find frying pans.
oh, okay, yeah,
I mean,
that's
so
interesting.
yeah.
Yeah, I get it. Why would you want to boil a bit of bacon when you could fry it and it tastes so much better? It's one of
Mm.
those things where I'm sure they tried it and they tested it and it worked for them. So
Mm.
interesting stuff.
Yeah. All right. So the next question is, what's the weirdest thing in your kitchen?
Uh, weirdest thing in my kitchen. Um, I've got some. Okay, the weirdest thing. I've got some. Well, it's fairly old now, but I've got a dried. Um, uh, what is it? It's a. Oh Christ, a morel. That's it, morel mushroom. I've got some dried morel mushrooms that a friend of mine found and gave to me. So
Yeah.
I probably need to. And if they're dried, they last. So
Yeah.
have you tried morels? Are they any good?
I don't know if I have tried morels. I'm not big
You,
into
you know,
mushrooms. So I've
no,
never
no,
really
no,
got
no.
into like foraging. People often ask me about foraging mushrooms. And I
Yeah,
know a few of them, but because I'm not that into mushrooms, yeah, it's not been
it's
something I've ever focused on.
no, of course not. No. Well, they're
Yeah,
fairly unique flavour, I think. So I've got those to try. So that would be the strangest thing in my kitchen cupboard. Yeah. Apart from that, not huge amounts else.
yeah,
I've got I do a bit of shooting, so I've got some venison in the freezer, rabbits that we've shot and things like that. So there's that kind of game in there, which actually most people don't eat nowadays. So that's fairly unique. But and pheasants, from this season gone. So yeah, that would be. I'm
yeah.
afraid nothing much stranger than that. I'm afraid.
All right. What's the worst food you've ever eaten? You can go
Um,
drink. Some people go down the drinks route.
okay. Well, if it's drinks, it's
Yeah.
tequila. I cannot stand that stuff.
Yeah.
There's just nothing worse than that. I don't like Baileys either. I can't stand. I don't know why anyone would mix cream with alcohol. I think that's just wrong. But food wise, it's strange because I genuinely eat most things. There's not much
Yeah.
I don't eat. Weirdly, I could go anywhere and eat anything, any kind of. What's one I really don't like? Um, I'm trying to think now. There's not a lot I don't eat, if I'm honest with you.
No.
Um,
We've occasionally done episodes where we've sat down and ate what everyone says is the worst thing.
yeah, I don't. It's a
Um,
strange question. I can't really think of
yeah.
anything that's the worst. Maybe I've just not tried anything yet, which is my worst. I'm sure there's lots of
Yeah.
things
Still
out
to
there which
come.
I think no chance of waiting. Okay, so like something I haven't tried, but if I wouldn't eat it, is that have you seen that butte? I forgot what they call it, like an egg in Asia, which is a fertilized duck egg
Oh,
with a
yes.
fetus in it. So that sort of thing,
Yeah.
absolutely no chance. Like I've
Yeah.
seen it, and they crack the top off. They drink the juice at the top, which is like the soup. That's like the starter, and then they
Yeah.
eat the fetus, which is then the meat and the main course, and they get the egg at the end, which is apparently the pudding. How that's pudding, I have no idea. But that sort of thing, nope, I wouldn't do that. That I wouldn't eat that.
Mm.
So there's probably lots of things like that I probably wouldn't eat. But in Britain, I'll eat most things. If I'm honest with you,
Yeah.
there's not much I've come against. Thought, nah, not eat that. I'll
Yeah.
try everything really.
All right. What's the most memorable meal you've ever had?
Okay, so this is okay. So one that I cooked and one I bought or been out and eaten. The one I cooked was we went. My dad's a water keeper on some lakes locally. I
Yeah.
do a lot of fishing as well. So and at the time I was a water keeper as well, helping out on a big estate lake. And we got a lot of geese, a lot of Canada geese there. And we had an evening shooting geese, as pest control, but we obviously
Yeah.
eat them as well because they're great to eat. So I
Mm.
took a few geese home and plucked a couple, which believe me is a job in itself, plucking a goose. And then just took the breasts out of a few others and just kept the breasts.
Yeah.
Um, and if you've ever eaten goose, have you eaten goose, Craig?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, mate, unbelievable, mate. So just literally pan fried these goose breasts with just like a bit of I'll put some cranberry sauce to sweeten it up or something like that. Oh, they're just phenomenal. They're like the best steak, but better. And there's so
Yeah.
much of it, and it's so lean, and the flavor is incredible. So for me, that is like the best meal I've probably ever eaten.
Mm.
Um, it's not something I get huge amounts of, so it was quite a luxury to have that. So
Yeah.
goose breasts, if I could, and pigeon breasts. I eat a lot of pigeon in the summer, so wood
Yeah.
pigeons. So they're amazing. They are my two favorite meats.
Yeah.
If I had to choose, so that's that. Um, Best meal that was in Scotland. I went shooting in Scotland once, and we stopped and we had a slow cooked haunch of venison done
Mm.
done with like just potatoes and some haggis. So it was in Scotland. We had to eat haggis,
Yeah. Of
and
course.
it was just phenomenal. Anything slow cooked is a real love of mine as well. Where it's just cooked down to nothing almost. It just you pull the bone out and it's just the meat's still in the pot.
Yeah.
Yeah, that gets that
Yeah.
that gets it going for me. So that was probably my favourite meal I had out there.
Yeah.
So yeah, wild meats for me, that is the key. That's what I enjoy most. And it's
Mm,
just nice knowing that it's lived a wild life. It's that kind of, it's guilt free in a way, I think so, or as
mm,
guilt free as it can be. So yeah, that for me is important. Yeah.
yeah. Right. So the final question is when you die, your relatives are preparing your grave goods. What food or drink do you get to take to the feast in Valhalla?
Um. Okay, that's quite a big question. Can it be multiple things, or is it a meal or just ingredients? I don't know. Okay, a pot of
Some people
olives.
list off a
I'll have
lot
a
of
pot of
stuff.
olives. I'll have a
Yeah.
pot of olives. I just can't. I love just love olives. I could sit and eat
Yeah.
them all day long. So olives would have to be one. That gives my salt hit I need. Fresh fruit. I need some fresh fruit as well. I love citrus. I love English apples in season, stuff like that.
Yeah.
It'd be basic. It'd be basic stuff. If I'm honest with you, like I don't like food sort of played around with too much. I sort of quite like the basic things,
Mm,
fresh ingredients. Yeah, and some wild meats. Chuck me in some rabbits in there and some venison or something, and I'd be more than happy. I'll take that and I'll live on that. That's fine. So yeah,
yeah.
that'd be. I suppose that's quite a Viking diet itself. Actually, looking at it.
Yeah.
Apart
Sounds
from the
good.
olives, maybe. Yeah. So yeah, I'll take that. I'll take nothing flash. I'm not in for that really.
Yeah.
So yeah, that'd be my go tos.
Awesome. Right. Do you want to give yourself a little social media plug? Where can people find
Absolutely.
you?
Yeah. So Facebook is, if you follow us, it's a group of friends, and I'm part of that. I'm one of the admins. It's the Decent Detectorists, which is it's a friendly group of guys and girls trying to promote um, decent metal detecting practices. So if you join us, you're going to
Yeah.
get the best practice. Um, Instagram is the big one for me, at the Sussex Searcher. Follow me, and hope you enjoy what I put on there. I try and keep it fresh and keep the reality of metal detecting going as well. So yeah, if you join those two, I'll be very happy to talk to you and go through anything, and hope you enjoy it. So yeah, all
The
good.
next time you come to an event and you see me, you'll have to say hello.
I will now. Of course I will. I know. Are
Yeah.
you doing the Battle of Hastings again?
I don't know, actually. We haven't thought that far ahead
Uh,
yet.
no, it's quite far away. So yeah, but
Yeah.
I'll
Got
have
a
to get a list
busy
of what you're
season ahead.
doing, and I love the reenact stuff. So I'd love to see that. But
Yeah.
we'll definitely do it, Craig. We'll definitely make sure we have a drink together and have a bit of a
Yeah.
chat.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Right. I'll say goodbye to everyone. So thank you everyone for watching or listening, and I will see you next time. Goodbye. If you enjoyed the show and want to hear more, remember to like and subscribe and give the show a rating. You can also help keep the show going by becoming a Patreon, where you'll get early access to all episodes, or check out my range of merch on my store. Links are in the episode description. Thanks for watching.